Hello there, welcome back to my channel. This vlog is gonna be all over the place. I am warning you now.
Warning, warning, warning.
I am in the midst of preparing some PDs for a conference, and I get asked a lot about how I plan my PDs. Honestly, it's very similar to planning a lesson, but I figured the best way to show you is just to take you along with me in real time through the process. So that's what we're gonna do. I am presenting at the MACUL conference, which is in Michigan. It goes back and forth between Grand Rapids and Detroit. This year it is in Grand Rapids. There are workshops on the 13th, which are a separate registration, and then the conference is the 14th and 15th. If you are watching this vlog right when it goes up, you can actually still register for the conference. So if you live in the area and you wanna come, I'll link that for you down below. But otherwise, if you want just some more behind the scenes of what the conference is like, I did vlog at the conference last year, so I will link that video for you as well. And I'm gonna vlog this year behind the scenes, so you'll get to see that in a little bit. But for now, I am preparing a total of 5 different sessions. So one is a 2-hour workshop, which is taking place on the 13th. The other 4 are 1-hour sessions that I am doing on the 14th and the 15th. Now, most of the time when I plan sessions for conferences, I like a good theme. Who doesn't love a good theme, right? Come on, we're teachers. But because this is all technology based, the sessions aren't gonna have a theme. It just doesn't really work that way. So they're gonna be more straightforward, just good content, but I'm gonna show you how I figure out what I wanna include, how I design the slides, how I manage all of the bits and pieces. But I will warn you, the next clip you're gonna see, there is an awful buzzing sound in the audio. I recorded that at the beginning of this vlog, and I had to re-record this clip because I watched it back and was like, oh, that's awful. I forgot to change the settings on my camera because I got new microphones. So just bear with me through that clip. I promise it gets much better. We're gonna get some steps in because if I have to be working on my computer all day, at least I can get in some movement by walking on my walking pad, which I get asked about this even though I've shared the link a million times. I've been using this walking pad for over a year now. Absolutely love it. I will link it for you. It is an investment, but I have to say, one of the best things I ever did. Now, when it comes to planning a PD, what I do, which I am not necessarily recommending or saying is the best way, but I actually start with the session title and description. And then from there, I build out the session based on the time allotment. Because when I am developing a new session, typically that organization or conference or school or district, they ask for the title and description first. And that's what I will come up with. And from there, I then add in all the details. But I actually organize all of my sessions within Google Drive. Now, most of the slides I create in Canva, but all the other materials like the freebies and the outline of the session, I like to have organized in Google Drive. So this is a peek at my little sessions folder. So within this folder, each session has its own folder, of course, folderception, you know, folder within a folder within a folder. I mentioned I'm doing a workshop and then 4 regular sessions. The workshop is part of my Putting the Tech in Teach little series. It's this lesson planning system, which I've already created. So that one is good to go, but I need to create folders for the 4 new sessions that I'm developing specifically for this conference. Now, thankfully, the conference organizers have been fantastic and they put together this little spreadsheet and it tells me like my sessions and where I am presenting, what time, what day, all of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and utilize this to create those folders. So I already have this first one made, but I need to add folders for the other ones. So we're gonna add new folder, say goodbye to AI, spark student creativity digitally without artificial intelligence. Did I spell that correctly on the first try? Wow, coffee is kicking in. Okay. The next one is the DL on AR, VR for EDU, how to get started with augmented and virtual reality in the classroom. Create, and then ignite your Google site. Easy ways to enhance your class website. And then finally, combining Canva and Classroom, creative ideas for using Canva as a teacher. Now, in terms of coming up with titles, it's just something that comes to me pretty naturally. I just think on it a little bit. I love rhyming words. I love acronyms, and I love alliterations, all of the things. So I just think on it until something clicks. But now that I have those Google Drive folders, the next step is to create my outline for each session. So I actually have this Google Doc template that I utilize for all of my sessions. So I put the title, the description of the session, which I've already created because I had to pass that along to the conference. I will list out materials, and any of them that are digital, I'll create links to them so it's easy for me to access. A list of all the freebies I offer with the session, which will go inside of that Google Drive folder. Any notes, so things like, oh, make sure you put this out on the tables or you hang this up in the room, little things like that. The objectives for the session, and then I will outline the session depending on the length of time. And again, it does vary depending on the district or conference. So I'm going to make a copy of this template, put it into each folder, and then my goal today is to get at least a majority of the sessions all outlined. We'll see how it goes. It may not all get done today, but that at least is the goal. It is now Saturday. I typically take Fridays off from working, but we're back at it. I did get my sessions all outlined, and I just wanted to show you an example of what that looks like. So as I mentioned, I already had the title and the description because I had to submit that to the conference organizers. In terms of the outline, I start with the allotted time. So these are 60-minute sessions. And from there, I typically allow 5 minutes for the introduction and then 5 minutes for like the closing. From there, that leaves me with 50 minutes. I like to divide it into either 4 to 5 different kind of sections, just depending. If some of them are shorter, then maybe 6. So in this case, I thought about the content I wanted to include when it comes to your Google site. So starting with creating custom designs, that will be about 10 minutes. And that includes me talking about how to do it and then giving the attendees time to kind of try it out, and I can answer questions if need be. Then I'm gonna go into hiding pages on the Google site. That'll be about 10 minutes. Creating a table of contents and integrating Google Calendar, those will both be shorter, so they're about 5 minutes. And then embedding websites and elements will take about 10 minutes because I'll show a few different examples. And then I like to incorporate as much as possible some kind of like quick tips at the end. That way I can either slow down or kind of cut some of them out depending on where I'm at time-wise. It's like my buffer, and I just always feel better when I go in with a buffer because there's no worse feeling than either finishing a presentation really early or running really behind. Then the next step after that is writing the objectives. And I get asked a lot about how I actually write objectives, so I thought I could talk through the process. When it comes to my objectives, I always like to pair a verb with what they're doing / like the reasoning behind it. So I take each section of the outline, for example, this creating custom designs, and I turn it into a statement with a verb. So design and embed custom images that will update on your Google site in real time. And then when it comes to the hiding pages, the objective reads, utilize hidden pages on your Google site to prepare for events and content in advance. So after I have that basic outline, then I go through and write out an objective for each section. And now it's time to work on slides, which is my favorite part, but it's also the part where I have to show restraint because I love to spend too much time on the design and I need to get the content done first. So I'm gonna just utilize templates I've already created in Canva, make it easy on myself, and I have to remind myself I can go back and make it better later on. I just gotta get started. Transparency time. For everyone who says, Michelle, you're always so productive, be prepared to change your mind. You know how yesterday, I'm saying yesterday because I'm now recording this on Sunday, I said I wanted to start working on slides and I wanted to focus less on the design and more on the content. Yeah, did the exact opposite of that. So I'm embarrassed to admit that I got one slide created yesterday. Now, I am proud of what I created. I think it's really cool. It was not a necessity and I should know better, but know better, do better. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you that one creation, and then I'm gonna set some timers today on my phone. I'm gonna set a timer for an hour and come up with, okay, by the end of this timer, I wanna have X, Y, and Z done. That way it hopefully keeps me on track.
Can we get back on track here?
But here is what I redesigned yesterday. This is what my opening title slide used to look like for my putting the tech and teach series. It was meant to look like a phone. I had this, notification that would pop up, and it's really cool. But the issue is, this is all one big GIF image. And so in order to go in and make changes, I would have to open up this separate slideshow, edit, export as a GIF or GIF, re-import it, and it was too much work. Plus, I wanted to transition from a phone to more of a computer laptop look, just because that's more fitting. So here's what I came up with. And I will say, I am really proud of this because these are all individual separate images. So the computer screen, I overlaid a bunch of different rectangles. I inserted the little dots to look like the minimize and X button. And what I like is that I can easily go in and edit any of these. So if I'm presenting at a different conference, I can just change the title up here. I can change the title of the actual slides, and I'm going to use this for all the sessions I'm developing, which is good. This little pop-up that you see with the mouse is actually its own GIF or GIF image that I actually created. So I opened up a separate Canva file, did all the animations, exported it as a GIF, and then I had to remove the background on it. I can maybe make a future video on that if you're interested, but what I like is I now have this. So if I go under my uploads and I go to videos, I have this as a GIF or GIF image that I can insert onto any slideshow, and I kept it very basic so that I can reuse it time and time again. So it was a lot of work for not a lot to show for it. However, I am proud of it. I think it looks cool. Today, we're gonna get more done, okay? I'm gonna just hone in on work. I'm gonna check in with you tomorrow, and hopefully I have a lot to show for the day. It is Monday morning, but I wanted to show you the progress I made yesterday before I jump into work today. You will notice I have a lot of slides, but the ones at the beginning are filled out, and then we have a lot of placeholders. So that's one thing I really like about Canva is you can insert these frames and then easily drag and drop a picture or a video, and it will automatically fit this size. So it's essentially like a placeholder, and it allows you to kind of design slides and get them ready to go as templates and then fill them in as you go. So yesterday I showed you the title slide that I had created. That was the only thing I had really created. From there, I went ahead and created my meet your presenter slides. These are just pictures of me, you know me, so I'm gonna skip through these. After that, I like to go into what to expect from the session, because sometimes when you go to a conference, you see a session title, but then you get halfway through the session and you're like, yeah, this is not relevant to me, or this is not what I thought it was. So I like to be very clear from the start, here's what to expect. That way, if anyone wants to bail, they can, and they won't hurt my feelings. I give some simple directions of what they need to do before we start. That way they can make sure they're checking these things off as I read through the objectives, which I've already shared with you. After that, I'm gonna kick off with like how to access Google Sites, but most of my slides have a similar format to this. I like to have kind of written directions on one side and then a video with visual directions on the other side. This is just a screen recording, which I utilize QuickTime. It comes standard on a Mac to do my screen recordings. And then I have this video set to just play on a loop. So it will just keep repeating again and again. So I have a few of those already done, and then you will notice I have those frames. So this is what I'm gonna mostly focus on today, getting those screen recordings, writing out the text. But I went ahead and created the slides based on my outline. So the first kind of strategy I'm going over is creating custom designs. And I like to start with an example showing them like, here's what it looks like done. That way they can better visualize it. It's kind of like when you're looking at houses and you see pictures with rooms that already have furniture in it, it's much easier to visualize yourself living there. After that, I'm gonna go through some of the benefits and ideas for using this. That way they can kind of see how it could be adapted or used in different ways. I will have those written step-by-step directions. And then finally, I will give them time to try it out. And I essentially have that same structure for each different strategy. So then when I go into hiding pages, here's what it looks like. Here are some of the benefits and ideas. Here's the written directions. And then here's some time to try it out on your own. So that's what all of these kind of blank slides are. And then at the very end, I let them know that I have a YouTube tutorial. And once again, that is a little video that's just gonna play on a loop that kind of shows them how to find the video. But then I also have a bit.ly link and a QR code that they can scan to get there. And then finally, I have my Connect With Me section. And once again, I made this with a little frame. So once I create the QR code for the freebies, which I don't even know if I'm gonna have any freebies for this session, but I will have the link and then I will have a QR code that they can scan in order to get to it. So it's ambitious, but I think I can finish this session today. Now that I have momentum, which sometimes is the hardest part, just getting into the flow of working, which is why I'm wearing the same thing, okay? I'm in work mode, don't judge me. But now I can see the vision of where I'm going, and I know with projects like this, I just struggle to get started because I overanalyze. And once I have a system and I have a kind of structure to just fill in, I can bang out work very quickly. So I'm gonna jump into it, make it a productive day, and then I'll check in with you again. Houston, we have progress. It is now Tuesday morning, but last night, Monday night, I am happy to report that I finished that first presentation, and I'm proud of myself because I really tried to stick to doing things I knew I needed to do and not letting myself get distracted, and it paid off. Just goes to show you, when you're intentional, you can get so much more done in less time. But I wanted to check in with you and show you some of the things that I added to the slides apart from that basic outline that I had already showed you. So for example, I ended up adding this session agenda, and as you go through the slide, you will notice that it shifts from one to the next. So after I go through the 3 different ways to get to Google Sites, I'm just gonna pass through that. Then it moves to the next one, and that way it really allows the audience to kind of see where we are at progression-wise in the session, and it helps me to kind of know what's coming because otherwise I get lost sometimes. But all of those slides are done. It's a total of 74 slides. At the end, I added just a list of here's all those YouTube videos I mentioned. That way it's in one spot and they can like take a picture of the screen. And then for the Connect With Me, I ended up not having any freebies for this session. It just doesn't really make sense to. It's more of me showing how to do certain things. So I took off that link, and on Outline, I have linked the slides so that way I have easy access to them. I'm gonna delete the section that says freebies because I don't need that. I don't have any notes. So Outline is done. Within the Google Drive folder for this session, you will notice I created some additional folders. So I have one with files. This would be the Google site I created, the banner, and then those icons that I was making. I have a folder with all of the GIFs and images that I created for the slides and the website and whatnot. And then I have another one with all of those screen recordings that I created for the tutorials. If I did have freebies for this session, then I would create a new folder. I would call it Ignite Your Google Site Freebies. And then any files, PDFs, images, anything I would give away for free, I would place into this folder. And then I would just change the share settings to be anyone with the link can view. And what that does is it allows people to download any of the files from that folder, but they can also make a copy. So if I had like a Google Slides template, they could go in and make a copy of it and it would save to their Google Drive. And that's the link that I would then turn into a bit.ly, and I'd have a QR code for, and I would put at the end of the session. But because this session doesn't have any of that, then I don't need to worry about it. So because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and end this vlog. Obviously, I still have 3 more sessions that I need to plan, but the process is literally the same. And I'm going to be vlogging behind the scenes at MACUL when I'm presenting, so you'll get a little bit more information on those sessions. For now, I'm gonna go deep into work mode for a few more days, get things done. But hopefully this video was helpful for you and you got to see kind of my process, which by no means is the right way to do things, as you saw, but it's just how I go about things. And I know sometimes it's helpful just to see what other people do and to get ideas. But if you did enjoy it, please give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and notification bell. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a way to tell YouTube that you enjoy my content, and it's a way to support me at no cost to you. As always, thank you for watching. I love you so much. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.